Hi, this is the introduction to how I teach recall to a dog, and I just thought I'd do an introduction to introduce the dog that we'll be working with, give a little bit of background information on him, why he's been taught recall so late, and things like that. So it is really hot here, so I'm just going to let him off so he doesn't have to stand around. Free. So he doesn't have to stand around in this heat while I do this part. So that's Koji. He's between 11 and a half and 12 months. I'd have to look at his paperwork to actually work out exactly how old. He's a purebred. He was actually bred for show. His colour of his eyes and his coat doesn't go well with judges, so he was just left. And we discovered him at about 6 months. Almost by accident, and I took one look at him and spent about 2 minutes with him and said to the wife, we've got to have this dog. And there was just something about him, and I haven't regretted it since. So he was about between 6.5, 7 months when we grabbed him, and so we've had him for 5.5 months. I think that calculates, but so we've had him for that period of time. When we got him, he had no training whatsoever. And when I say no training, he didn't even know his own name. So he didn't know his name, he didn't know any commands, no sit, no down, no collar work, no lead work, no crating, no toilet training, absolutely nothing. He was fed, given somewhere safe to be, and that was about it. Now, we live on the road, so life for dogs is both rewarding and very tough. A lot of the times we're in conditions like this, so there's no air conditioning for the dogs, and they're in anywhere from 40 to 50 plus degrees on a regular occurrence. That's Celsius, so that puts it up, over 120 degrees, and that's just regular during the summers. So we're also in environments that are really hard for dogs. They're really dry and hot, as I said. There's also lots of predators. We have lots of dingoes where we are now. There's lots of dingoes all around us. Dingo will call out to a dog, get it to come, and then kill it. And we have lots of kangaroos. These guys are 6-7 foot tall. Dogs love to chase them, and a kangaroo will then try and lead a dog to water and then drown it. And if it can't do that and the dog corners it, the kangaroo will normally just come up on its back legs and just disembowel a dog really quickly. So things are very dangerous. We're in country where there are some of the world's deadliest snakes, and they're quite aggressive at different times of the year. So there's lots of hazards on top of that. Currently we've just turned up on a new property we're managing, which is covers around about 90 kilometres. So it's a big area for a dog to go wandering off with if you don't have a good recall. And life's just tough. So when we first got him, we were managing a property and we had about 5 months. So I thought that was plenty of time to get, a good recall in. Not perfect, but a really good recall. And all the other things he had to learn. So unfortunately that same week after we got him, I was told I needed heart surgery very quickly, and so we lost 2 months of training. We got about a month in, and or so, about 6 weeks I think, and then lost basically 2 months of training with him between the surgery and rehabilitation. So we've asked a lot of him. He's had very little time. In the first day I got him, he had to learn his name, collar, lead work, sit, food etiquette, and be crate trained. We're on somebody else's property. That's what he had to have there and then. So on the very first day we had him, I spent about 4 or 5 hours with him. At the end of that day, he knew all the rules for eating. He would wear a collar and a lead without complaining. And crate trained. He slept in his crate locked that night, and every night we've asked him to since. Never a problem. I've had over 100 dogs, and probably about half of them have had to learn crate training, and I've never had a dog destroy a crate or try to escape from it. So we've been very lucky with that, but it was a lot to put on him. And then of course all the other basics had to be learnt. Loose leash walking. He was loose leash walking with major distractions in 4 weeks. So, you know, he's been a remarkable dog, but something had to suffer, and unfortunately it was recall. He was tethered trained like every other dog. I tether train everything, no matter the age. And part of tether training is it really is a cornerstone for things such as loose leash walking and recall. But because of the circumstances and beyond all the basics, we've got all the skills that they need for out here. So they need to be able to be on tethers in a yard or in a paddock for long periods of time. They're often left for long periods of times. They're often asked to be still while working dogs are around and so forth. Like I said, there's the predators and other animals, cattle and sheep and all these things that they need to be okay around. So we ask a lot of our dogs, and we ask an exceptional amount of this guy. And so he had to be taught all of those things, and just the simple things of travelling on the road. We've just done a 2-week trip that we had to prepare him for, and that included getting up in the morning, being fed, getting in a dog box at the back of the ute, rain, hail or shine, and driving all day. And getting out of that box, setting up camp, having something to eat, going to sleep, getting back in, repeating the same thing day after day. So for 2 weeks there, they got no walking, no exercise, no off lead, and he did it without complaining. That is simply life on the road. The other thing is often long periods, 3 months, 6 months at a time, it can be, where you can't get off a leash. There are baits, and like I said, there are the other predators and dangers that are out there. Of course, if he runs onto somebody's neighbouring property, the risk is he'll be shot. So there's all these dangers out for a dog, and so we had to teach him all that. So, you know, in the end, recall suffered. What you're going to need, if I don't mention it in the first training video I put out, you'll just need a standard flat collar. That's all I use. I guess you can use what you want, but this is what I use, a standard flat collar, and just a standard lead. You'll see in the video I just tether it to me on a very short tether to start with. And that's all I use. And treats. Later on I'll use longer leads and ropes that I use, anything like that, just to give extra distance. Treats is just a very lowly valued treat. Just cut up kibble, very small pieces as you can see. Just cut up kibble, or these particular ones are just a cheap one. They're on special at the supermarket. One time I went through and I just grabbed some for something different. I don't believe in giving them high quality treats. I want the dog to obey me because I've asked it to obey me, not because I've got nice roast chicken or something in my hand, or a chunk of cheese or something like that. In the real world I'm not going to have that, and it's just, the treat's just not going to matter when it comes down to it. So if the dog isn't focused on you, and if the dog isn't listening to you and seeing you as a leader, all the treats in the world aren't going to matter. So they're low quality treats. Dogs know I control the food, so anything that I give them extra for them is just bonus, and they love it. So I just use very low quality treats. One thing I say that you will need, and it's just not for recall, it's basically for everything, and that's a very strong focus, watch me or look at me command. However you want to phrase it and however you want to incorporate it, you need a very strong one. For me, when I say a dog's name, that means stop, wait, look, focus, listen. And so the dog is meant to then stop, look at me, listen for the next command, and then obey that command. And so if you cannot get a dog to focus on you, no matter how good your recall is, no matter how good any of your commands are, the dog's gone. It's not going to listen. And you've just got an unruly dog on your hand, or a very dangerous situation, or whatever it is. So focus is probably, it's not talked about enough, I don't think. It's probably the most important command you can ever give a dog, is focus. Because without that, no matter what, your dog's not going to listen. So what I do with focus, like I said, is I say the dog's name, and that means all these other things. A lot of commands I do have multiple meanings. So for me, if I say sit down, sit down, stand, that automatically means to a dog it must stay until another command's given. So I have multiple commands, but they're the main tools that I use. Just a flat collar, standard lead, extended leads or ropes, low valued treats, and a really good, strong, focus, watch me, look at me command. However you want to call it, it doesn't matter. And they're the main things that I use. Well, they're really the only things that I use. So as we go through it, I won't move, you won't see another video from me until Koji is 100% successful on the level that we're at. I'm not putting these out just for videos. I'm simply putting out these because I'm training him to do it at the same time. So you won't see, after the first video, you won't see another video until he's mastered that level, and then you'll see the very first training day at the new level, and then you won't see another one again until he's successfully 100% through that level, and that's just how we do it. Alright, so what I'll do now is I'll just stop this video because it's so hot I've sent the dog away. We'll try and get him up and moving around, and then I'll show you the absolute non-successful recall I have with him at the moment. So you'll get to see that this dog has no recall, and hopefully by the end of this series we've got a pretty good one going. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I've got Koji back out again. So we'll just do this really quickly because, like I said, it is horribly hot out here. I'm just going to let him go, and we'll show you the recall. Off you go. So he's going to wander over here to the shade. Alright, so here he is. Koji! Tommy! Is the recall word I use. Koji, as you can see, he's instantly paying attention to see what I want. To me! But I'm not giving him a command that he understands at all. So, this is not something that's his fault, he simply doesn't understand what I want. So, as you can see, he has no recall, and what we're looking to do is build one into him. So, hopefully you'll enjoy the videos as they come out, and hopefully not only will Koji get something out of it, that some of you folks also get something out of it with your dogs. Okay, we'll see you on the next video.